Good morning, guys. What's up? Hello and welcome to the part 2 from congruent triangles. So previously we had two situations. By using them, you can prove the two triangles are congruent, and these were side theorem and side angle side theorem. Okay, so let's continue our lesson, and the next one will be angle side angle, and actually here the order matters. Okay, so we have angle and we have an included side and we have the other angle. So the side should be included between the two angles. How can we figure it out? Let's have this example. Okay, so imagine that I have two triangles, okay, and these are the two triangles. We have one red and we have one green, and it's given that this angle is congruent to that one, and the side is congruent to this side, and this angle is congruent to that angle. So here we have a clue in order to prove the two triangles are congruent by using angle side angle postulate. So we have the first angle is congruent to this angle, and the indicated side, which is the side in between the two angles, is congruent to its corresponding side, and this angle is congruent to this angle. So actually we can prove that the two triangles are congruent by using angle side angle postulate, and the order actually matter. So the side should be included between the two angles. Okay, this is about angle side angle. Okay, هنا we have this triangle and we have angle this one. Okay, about the given example, we have this angle, okay, is congruent to that angle, and we have this angle is congruent to that angle, and this side is a common side between the two triangles. So I can say that the two triangles are congruent, and the reason is because angle side angle. Okay, the fourth postulate is angle angle side, and that means if you could prove that two angles are congruent and one side is congruent to its corresponding side in the second triangle, so you can say the two triangles are congruent. And here we have two angles and non-included angle. Okay, so let's have an example. Imagine that I have these two triangles, and it's given that this angle is congruent to that angle, and this angle is congruent to this angle, and this time I don't have the included angle, but I don't have the included side. I have a different side. So the two triangles are actually congruent because of angle angle side, this postulate, the fourth one. And here comes the last theorem, which is the HL theorem. HL is an abbreviation for hypotenuse leg, and from the name, this theorem is applied only for the right angle triangles. So HL is an abbreviation for hypotenuse leg, is used only with right triangles, but not all right triangles. What does it mean? For this one, here we can apply hypotenuse leg, since I have right angle triangle and it's given, okay, we have an orange triangle, and we have the second triangle, which is that one, and we have a common side right here. Okay, so once we have right angle triangle and the hypotenuse is congruent to the hypotenuse in the second triangle, and one leg is congruent to one leg, which is the common side, so we can use the theorem HL. But right here, we cannot use HL, though we're talking about right angle triangles, but we don't have any information yet about the hypotenuses. We don't know that they are congruent. It's not given information. So you can't assume anything which is not given until you can prove it. Okay, so I can't prove that this side is congruent to this side, and there is no given information, so you need to stick to the given information and try to come up or generate some extra new information if you could. So let's have the given information. I have this angle is congruent. This angle is congruent to this angle, and it's given, and this one is congruent to this one, and both is 90 degrees, and this one is a common side, so we have angle, side, angle. Okay, there's a difference between hypotenuse leg and angle, side, angle, but in general, if you have two right angle triangles, first of all, you need to think about HL postulate. Okay, so let's have some examples in order to make them applicable and try to have some practice. But before we start, learn how to prove that two triangles are congruent, I need you to read these really important steps in order to prove that two triangles are congruent. Okay? The first step is mark the given. You need to read the given information if they are written in English, and you have a very careful look at the figure, and you need to notice the given information on the figure, okay? And then you need to translate English into math by translating the given information from English to mathematical symbols on the figure, okay? And then mark reflexive sides, vertical angles. And here I would like to add some things to notice and something to care about. So, think about parallel lines. In order to prove that alternate interior angles are congruent or corresponding angles are congruent, think about reflexive sides, vertical angles, parallel lines. Think about any information you can add by using the given information, okay? Think about, for example, angle bisector, okay? Think about angle bisectors, for example, okay? Step number 3, choose a method, and I call it here written only 3, so I need to add the other two ones, angle, angle side, and hypotenuse leg. You need to choose a method, okay? By examining the given information, you need to ask yourself, what plan do I use? What is the method that I will use in order to prove that two triangles are congruent? And actually they are 5 theorems and postulates. And then list the parts, okay? List the parts means if, for example, you're gonna use side, angle, side, okay? So you need to list the parts. So you need to list one side is congruent to one side in the second triangle, and then list the congruent angles, and then list the other congruent sides. Okay, this is the meaning by list the parts. And by doing some subtracts, it will be very clear, I hope, inshallah. Okay, step number 5, fill in the reasons. And here we're going to prove the upcoming geometric problems using that proof, which is called statement reason proof or two-column proof. Okay, and then you ask yourself, did I reach my target? Did I prove the required, or something more I need to do? Something more I need to add. Okay, so I need you to copy these 6 steps. Okay, and by using them, we're going to solve the upcoming problems. Okay, let's move to have some exercises. Okay, so let's go and solve this one. And the figure is given, and the required is to prove that the 2 triangles are congruent. You need to read the given information carefully. You need to list them on the graph. So let's do that. The given information, AB is congruent to BD. Where is AB? AB, yes, this is point P, is congruent to BD. Okay, that's okay. And then EB is congruent to BC. Okay, AB is congruent to BC. Okay, that's perfect. So the required is to prove that the 2 triangles are congruent, and the 2 triangles I'm going to deal with are ABE, and the second one is DBC. Okay, I think now it may be clear what postulate you need to use, right? Okay. Here we plot the given information on the figure as we did just before, okay? And then, okay, we have 2 angles. And these 2 angles, actually, you need to ask yourself, what is the relation between these 2 angles? And it's not given that the two angles are congruent, angle 1 and angle B, but actually they are congruent because of the they are vertical opposite angles. Okay, so the plan that I will use, the method I'm gonna use to prove that the 2 triangles are congruent, it's side angle side, right? So you need to stick to the steps you wrote just before, okay? So mark the given information. You need to think about reflexive sides. You need to think about vertical angles. If you have parallel lines, perpendicular bisector, angle bisector, and any type of information you can add. Okay, so since we are already ready to prove that the 2 triangles are congruent, and our plan to do so is side angle side. So let's go and translate our thoughts into mathematical proof. Okay? Okay, so first of all, you need to know that this proof is our method to prove the 2 triangles are congruent, and we call this type of proof is 2-column proof. Okay? This is the column for statements, and this is the column for reasons. Okay? So you need to start with the given information. You need to list the given information first. So let's start with the given information. So statement number 1, هنا the given information is AB is congruent to BD, and I will list it. AB is congruent to BD. Okay, and why did you say so? What is the reason for saying this? Because it's given information, okay? And EB is congruent to BC. Okay, let's write it, is congruent to BC. And what is the reason? Of course, it's given, okay? So, here I need to check for my plane. I need to use SAS. So, I need to prove that one side from the first triangle is congruent to one side. And actually, we didn't prove that because this information is already given, okay? So, here we have AB is congruent to BD, and I wrote it, okay? And then the second piece of information is that AB is congruent to BC, and we wrote it. So I have one side is congruent to one side, and one side is congruent to one side. Here I need to list that the included angle is congruent to the included angle in the second triangle. So here, statement number 2, I will say that angle BCD is congruent to angle, sorry, it's not BCD. So angle CBD is congruent to the angle EBA. And what is the reason for that? They are vertical opposite angles. Okay? And since I could prove that all parts, so I have to conclude my proof, step number 3. So I can say that triangle ABE is congruent to the triangle DBC. And the reason for that is side angle side theorem. Okay, so we could prove that the two triangles are congruent by using the given information and trying to add some extra information. We have these two triangles are congruent because they are vertical opposite angles, and then you need to state the method you're going to use in order to prove that the two triangles are congruent, and in this case the postulate is side angle side, and then you need to translate these thoughts and your ideas into a logic proof, okay, which can be written by your teacher. Okay, so let's move and have another example. Okay, so let's have this one. Feel free to pause the video if you want and try to answer this question. Okay guys, so given that line segment CX bisects angle ACB. Bisects means line segment CX splits the angle ACB into two congruent parts. So from this statement, I can understand this. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Okay. Then we're given that angle A is congruent to angle B. Okay. So what is the required? The required is to prove that triangle ACX is congruent to the triangle BCX. I need you to go back to the written steps and try to come up with the answer by sticking to these steps. Okay? So let's mark the given information first of all. Okay, here we mark the given information. So I have angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and it's given. And we have angle A, sorry, it's not given. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 is a result of the angle bisector. Angle A and angle B are congruent, and it's given. And the CX line segment, or the side CX, is a common side. So here we use the postulate angle, angle, side in order to prove that the two triangles are congruent. Okay? And then let's draw the statement reason, proof, and let's translate our thoughts into something can be written, okay? Can be read, sorry. Okay. Statement. Reason. So, the first step will be for the given information, and the given information here is angle A is congruent to angle B. And what is the reason? It's given. Okay, and statement number 2, I can say that CX, line segment CX bisects angle ACB, and it's also given information. Angle ACB, and it's also given. And as a result, that the line segment CX bisects the angle C, it means it splits the angle or divides the angle into two congruent angles. So I can say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. And the reason is definition. Definition of angle bisector. Okay? And here we could prove that one angle is congruent to one angle. We said angle A is congruent to angle B. And we could prove that one angle, second angle, is congruent to the second angle, which is angle 2 is congruent to angle 1. We need to prove the last part, which is the side. Can we prove that one side from the first triangle is congruent to one side in the second triangle? Actually, we can use it because we have a common side between these two triangles. And step number 4 is CX is congruent to itself, which is CX. And the reason, because of reflexive property. Okay? So, we could prove that the three parts are congruent, and the last step, which is the conclusion for my work, I can say that the triangles A, C, X and the triangle A, B, BCX are congruent, and the reason is angle, angle, side postulate. Okay? So, can you prove these triangles are congruent? Okay, let's think about this example. I call it example number 1. So, do we have any clue about the congruence of these two triangles? Actually, we don't have any given information. So the only piece of information that I can prove that this angle is congruent to this angle because of they are vertical opposite angles. And actually we don't have any given information about the sides, and we cannot prove the congruency of any two other sides. So actually we don't have enough information to prove that the two triangles are congruent, and this question is a very popular question. Do you have enough information to indicate that the two triangles are congruent? Sometimes actually we don't have enough information, like in this case. We don't have enough information to indicate that the two triangles are congruent. Okay, this is the end of our session. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any question, please you can send it, okay, by using the chat in LMS if you don't come to the school regularly. Okay, thank you again. Hope you, inshallah, okay. Have a nice time. Thank you so much for listening, and see you inshallah again. Bye bye.